So I'll just give you a little bit of... And something I do like is when you shift in manual. So listen to this. It kind of blips. So it is Luxury Fred, and I am behind the wheel of the 2018 Maserati Ghibli. So in case you didn't know, the Ghibli, which I hope I'm saying correctly, and I learned that Ghibli or Ghibli is the name of a African wind in Tunisia, I think it is. So that's what Ghibli means. And this is Maserati's kind of mid-size luxury sedan. They have the Quattroporte, which is the big full-size luxury sedan. And then they have the Gran Turismo, which is their two-door coupe that kind of looks like a Ferrari. They also have the Levante, which is their SUV. And then they're coming out with another sedan. I'm not sure what the specifications are, Alfani or Alfieri or something like that. So there's going to be another new Maserati. Maserati, of course, is a famed Italian car company, started in the early part of the 20th century, has a very long, storied race history in Formula One and in different race classifications and things like that. And also, until 2005, it was independent, and then it had different owners, and then I think from maybe 1990 until 2005, something like that, it was part owned by Ferrari. It is now an independent car company, but it is part of FCA, which is Fiat Chrysler Alfa Romeo. And I believe it's in its own little group with Maserati, Alfa Romeo, and Abarth. And Abarth, in case you didn't know, is Fiat's, kind of AMG brand, you might say. So the Ghibli, I think is probably the way you pronounce it, is available in a few different models. So this is the base Ghibli, and then there are two trim packages that you can buy, or you can buy options individually. There is the Grand Sport package, which is more sports and performance oriented, and this is the Gran Lusso package, which is the more luxurious trim level with leather seats and wood trim and some other things like that give it a nice luxurious appearance. So with the Gran Lusso package, you get a set of options that come with that. So in the Ghibli, there is the Ghibli, and then there is the Ghibli S. Now both vehicles, I'm trying to figure out where to drive here, both vehicles have the same twin turbo V6, but they are tuned very differently. So if I may cheat a little bit, so this base model, the non-S, again has the twin turbo V6 engine. So this is the non-S model, which gives you a top speed of 166 miles an hour. This is 345 horsepower, and 0 to 62, not to 60, to 62 for some reason is 5.5 seconds. If you go for the Ghibli S model, I'm gonna pull over here. and see if I can park in front of this cool looking airplane. So if you go with the Ghibli S model, that again, it's the same engine, but it's tuned a little higher. So that gives you, the S gives you 424 horsepower. The non-S gives you 345 horsepower. And the S gives you 179 top speed instead of 166. It also gives you 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds instead of 5.5. You also have an all-wheel drive model, which is the SQ4 or the Q4. You can get it in the non-S trim. And the price-wise, the base model Ghibli is $73,780. This Gran Lusso starts at $79,840. And then this car has a few options. It's got the fancy radio, not too much else. If you read my full review at businesstravelerusa.com, you can see all the specific options. But this car is about $86,000 with all the options. Again, $79,000 base price, and then you add the options onto that. So what do you get for $85,000 and change or something like that? I've said this before, and people say I shouldn't say this, but to me, this is like, in the best sense of the word, an Italian BMW or an Italian M5 even. So this is made to compete with the BMW 5 Series or the Mercedes E-Class. Again, kind of that mid-size luxury sedan thing. And it is an amazing car. It gives you that really good performance and that very powerful engine and a great 8-speed automatic ZF transmission. In case you didn't know, ZF is a German transmission company and makes transmissions. The ZF transmission is used in a lot of different cars. So, as I was saying, you get that very European, it does feel German, it's got a very tight feel to it, thick, heavy steering wheel, very responsive, again, great road feel. I've driven it back and forth from LA to Palm Springs twice. Okay, continuing my luxury getaway in the Maserati Ghibli. Driving here on the 60 through the mountains. Headed back to LA right now, and real pleasure to drive, really enjoying it. Excellent handling, excellent tightness and suspension, and nice luxurious ride as well, and very, very fast when you put it into the either the sport mode or drive it in the manual mode. You know, for only a twin turbo V6, it really moves and has that wonderful exhaust note as well. I've driven it up on the 74 through the mountains. Actually, let me show you some of my drive through the mountains. So really amazing performance on the freeway, on those mountain roads. It's very easy to drive. You know, I've taken it to the store and shopping and things like that. Very easy to park. You don't have to worry it's too low or things you can't see and all that kind of stuff. You've got the full suite of technology. I don't know if this it doesn't have the lane keep assist. It doesn't have some of those other optional technologies, which you can of course get. This car doesn't have a huge amount of options on it, but it has great parking sensors and the rear cross traffic alert and the rear facing camera, which I guess all cars have. You have this nice large infotainment screen. Inside, the seats are leather. They feel wonderful. The build quality on the doors and everything that you touch, you know, all the tactile stuff is quite wonderful, as you would expect from an Italian car. Well, let's take a look inside. Maserati badging on the sill plate. And then just overall, very, very comfortable interior. Again, this is the Gran Lusso, the luxury edition. So this comes with perforated, ventilated, real leather seats, which are very sumptuous and comfortable. You have your Maserati logo there on the headrest. So give you a tour of the inside. Controls are nice. I understand that some of these are shared with some of the other Chrysler vehicles, so they don't have quite enough of a high-end feel that I would like to have, or a unique to Maserati feel. So we have very nice fit and finish and feel. You have some wood inserts here on the door, stitching, and again, very nice. This has the leather wrapped steering wheel, which is included in the Gran Lusso package. This is not the sport version. There's an S version, as I mentioned, and there's also a Gran Sport version, and this does not have paddle shifters. They are optional. As I've said before, I love the Ferrari-like gauges with the big numbers and the large needles on there. So you have your lighting controls here. You have your brightness for the instrument panel. Interestingly, your start-stop switch is on the left here. You have a little tiny compartment on that side. You have your cruise control here, kind of minimal controls on the steering wheel. Your radio and phone controls here. It doesn't have paddle shifters, but it does have buttons back here that you can use to change the station or the volume on the radio. You have this nice large center screen here with, looks like we've got a high wind warning here in Coachella. And then kind of standard in terms of all the different controls and things like that. Your infotainment system, everything is kind of built in there. It's very easy to use. Your climate control functions down here, and then you have a little aux and a place to put in an SD card and a place for your phone in there. It has the 8-speed ZF transmission, which is a very reliable unit made in Germany, and it's used in a lot of different cars. I'm going to learn what these are. Obviously, sport mode puts it into sport mode. It changes the driving dynamic. It changes the exhaust note as well. You have a manual mode so that you can shift with the gear selector here. Traction control off. And ICE, I'm not sure if that's a snow and ice mode or if ICE stands for something. Parking brake here, you have your control for their infotainment system here. Over here you have a cup holder with a cigarette lighter there. You have a small center console here. And then, as you'll see, the compartments open up sideways like this front one, and then the ones in the back, which I will show you in a second. So you have a large glove box down in there. Again, very nice leather seats. And nice old school analog clock. Up here you have your lighting controls and your sunroof controls, and we have a nice sunroof up there. Again, very nice fit and finish with everything, very solid feel. That includes, I don't think I've shown this before, a very big, massive, heavy key here. So you have a remote start, you have an automatic trunk, and then lock and unlock buttons on there. So let me move into the rear. So moving into the rear, very, very nice place to be. Almost as nice as being in the front. But again, you have individual leather seats here. You have a large center console. You can have someone sit in the middle here, but great, you know, feeling on these seats, very Italian feeling, and you know, shows the build quality that you do get. And you can see in the back with the stitching and all that kind of stuff. Very, very good feel, tactile feel, and very good fit and finish with the, you know, the seams and the stitching and all that kind of stuff. Again, you've got kind of fancy versions of the Chrysler window controls with the little aluminum trim on them there. And what else? You have little magazine racks here. You have your rear climate control system here. And what else? And then you have a very nice center console here, again repeating with that theme where you have the two doors that open up, and then you have a little storage space back there. Okay, and these seats, I believe, do fold down, so let me try that here. So you can see that both rear seats, you have kind of a 60-40 thing, and both rear seats fold down. It's interesting. I don't think anyone's ever folded the seats down in this car before. And then if we look outside, again, you hit the trunk button and you have automatic opening and closing trunk. And then you can see that we have a good amount of space because the seats fold down. So it's very useful and convenient. If you have a lot of luggage, you can fit a lot of stuff in this car. See? You also have a little 12-volt connection back here. And then you have your power lock and your close the trunk button. If we push that, then we have the automatic closing trunk right there. Okay? And again, that's what I think it gives you. It gives you that European performance sedan, but with Italian style. And it's not a car that you're going to see 5 of every time you drive. I've been driving this for a week, and I don't think I've seen another Ghibli in LA or Palm Springs the whole time. And that's another thing that I've learned in researching this, is that Maserati is interested in keeping the cars exclusive. They have a limit to how many cars they will produce each year. I believe it's 75,000 and no more across all the different models. Let me take a turn here. And the other thing that was interesting is Maserati is not interested in introducing smaller cars or less expensive cars. They're interested in being a high-end brand and kind of focusing upwards. So the cars that they have, again, Ghibli, Quattroporte, Gran Turismo, they are focusing on making those cars better and adding things to them and making them more expensive, but you know, having additional additions and things like that, performance additions and luxury additions. So you're not going to see a cheaper Maserati than this. I'm not sure if this is cheaper than the Levante, but you're not going to see a Maserati for less than $70,000. They are focusing, they are looking upwards, which I think is very cool for a luxury brand. And also, they know that, especially being a part of Alfa Romeo, Alfa Romeo provides those cars. So this is aimed at, again, squarely at someone who's going to buy the big Audi, the big BMW, or the big Mercedes, not the big Mercedes, but an E-Class or something like that. And I think it competes wonderfully with all of those cars. And this gives you that uniqueness that if you have a BMW, Mercedes, Audi, whatever, there are so many of those cars on the road that you don't have something that's very unique. You get a Maserati, you're not going to see other Maseratis. So again, I think the driving experience is wonderful. The interior style and design, and as I was saying before, the feel of everything is wonderful. You know you're in something special. You know you're in a high-performance luxury Italian car. I showed you the inside. You have those, you know, elements that harken back to Ferrari, especially the speedometer and tachometer. You have a beautiful engine note, which actually, so you have all those things that separate it from just any other luxury sedan. So I think that kind of concludes the review. Again, this is Luxury Fred. And if you like the video, go ahead, take a second, click like under the video. It helps me out. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think. Tell me other cars you want me to review. Tell me what you want to see. Tell me how stupid I am, how uninformed I am. A lot of people comment that, but I try to do these as real-world reviews. I'm not a car expert. I'm just a regular guy that writes about luxury travel and started to write about luxury cars because I love luxury cars. So I write about it from my perspective. I'm not a technical car person that knows every detail and that has driven the past 5 years of Maseratis to know how this is different. I try to give you what it's like to drive. Is this car worth $85,000? Would I pay $85,000 for it? And I drive a lot of different luxury cars, so I can compare it to other luxury cars that I've driven, and that's what I try to do in these reviews. So again, thank you very much for watching, and please subscribe to my channel for more great luxury car and luxury travel content.